Hello and welcome to History with Jackson. Today we will be looking at the Albigensian Crusade of 1209 to 1255 that occurred in the south of France. So what was the Albigensian Crusade? The Albigensian Crusade was a series of conflicts against the Cathars in the south of France. It can be split into three distinct different conflicts. The first conflict occurred from 1209 to 1225. This first conflict was directed and led by the Papacy with the aim of eradicating the Cathars from the south of France. The second conflict was a political crusade led by the kings of France. This political crusade was against the Cathars protectors and the southern nobility. The third conflict was from 1229 to 1255. This conflict was an inquisition called for and led by the Papacy. This inquisition was targeting and persecuting the Cathars. So who were the Cathars? The Cathars were a Christian heretical group living in the Languedoc region of southern France and northern Italy. They held Christian dualist beliefs. They believed that there were two gods. They believed that there was a bad god, who they called Rex Mundi, who was from the Old Testament, and a good god from the New Testament. The Cathars believed that the bad god had tainted them with sin, and that earth was a hell from which they had to escape. They had to escape by removing themselves from a materialistic, absorbed self. This removal would take them to heaven to be with the good God. So why was the Crusade called? The Crusade was called for in 1205 by Pope Innocent III at the Fourth Lateran Council. Innocent III was trying to... So why was the Albigensian Crusade called for? The Crusade was called for in 1205 by Pope Innocent III at the Fourth Lateran Council. Innocent III, as the height of papal power, was trying to continue Catholic primacy. And this was by removing threats or heretical groups. Pope Innocent III had called for the European monarchies at the time to cleanse their territories of heretical filth. And one of these heretical groups was the Cathars, and he specifically made mention to the Cathars at the council. So what happened in the first conflict? So like I said earlier, the first conflict happened from 1209 to 1225 under the guidance of the Papacy. The two popes who guided this area of conflict were Innocent III and Honorius III, and their main commander of the crusading forces in southern France was Simon de Montfort. Simon de Montfort and his crusading forces besieged many Cathar strongholds. Some of these would be Viziers, Termes and Carascon. After sieging these Cathar strongholds, these crusading forces massacred the town, letting God decide who was his own. It was estimated that at Viziers, 20 to 40,000 Cathars and innocent people were massacred by the crusading forces. So what changed in 1225? In 1225, the French monarchy decided to get involved in the Albigensian Crusade. Louis VIII had embarked on a political crusade to the south of France. He saw that the French monarchy had very little central control over the French nobility. Therefore, he decided to go to the south of France to increase this authority and centralise control. Most powerful nobles in the south of France, such as the Count of Toulouse, had not been granted their titles by the French crown. They had instead been granted their titles by the Papacy and the Holy Roman Emperor. So what happened in this second conflict? So as I said earlier, the second conflict happened from 1225 to 1229. And in this conflict we saw the fall of Avignon and a scorched earth policy set upon the south of France. Without its main city and any provisions due to the scorched earth policy, the south was forced into signing the 1229 Treaty of Paris. The 1229 Treaty of Paris led to all the southern lords owing fealty and homage to the French crown, centralising power under the monarchy. And these lands would also return to the French crown should they die without an heir. The most important of these titles was the Count of Toulouse. So the third conflict that I spoke about occurred from 1229 to 1255, and it was an Inquisition-style conflict. So from 1229, after the signing of the Treaty of Paris, the French monarchy lost interest in the area since they had achieved their goals of their own political crusade. Therefore, the crusade fell back under the control of the Papacy. And the Pope at this time was Gregory IX. Gregory IX called for an inquisition in the Languedoc region of France. The goal of this inquisition was to convert or kill as many Cathars and sympathisers as possible. The creator of the term genocide even claimed that what happened to the Cathars in the Languedoc region was certainly a genocide. And the word genocide is also slightly inspired by the word Albigensian. It is estimated that anywhere between 200,000 to 1 million Cathars died across the course of this conflict, and most of them were during the Inquisition. The last burning of a heretic from this Inquisition was in 1321. So we can see that the monarchy of France had achieved its aims, and the papacy had all pretty much achieved its aim of eradicating the heretical filth from the area. So I want to thank you for watching this episode on the Albigensian Crusade. I really enjoyed actually going back into some of my research in the past and reading my essay on the Albigensian Crusade, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode too. If you want to go and check out my essay, please head to www.historyofjackson.co.uk and click academic work, and there should be my work there on the Albigensian Crusade. If you liked and enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. Please follow if you're on any other platform. It really helps me out, and it gets you guys seeing more content from me, and you will get notifications. And also, I'd also like to let you guys know that we recently just launched the History with Jackson podcast. On this podcast, we'll have interviews with historians on their own specialist subjects, so I can help educate you guys on areas that I'm not as knowledgeable as I'd want to be. So I look forward to seeing you guys next week. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and see you later.